behaviors. We know that the tablet is now 32% penetration of U.S. adults, so it is growing very, very quickly. To lead our conversation is Ted Bozarth, Vice President of Moxie Interactive, where he runs the internet sales division for Verizon. He's worked at Sapient Nitro, Dan's outfit, has delivered mobile strategies for Coca-Cola, Target, and Harley-Davidson. I will turn it over to Ted.
Okay. Thank you. Hopefully that's just the lunch kicking in there. Yes, formerly from Sapient Nitro, not to be associated with Dan Israel in any way, means, or form. Thank you. To make that clear. So I'm here with a great panel to talk specifically about all these different devices that we have out and how we target those things differently. With the advent of the iPad 3 years ago, I guess, Apple threw in a bit of a game changer for us again. And it's really become very prominent in the way that we not only research but purchase. So again, I'll let the panel introduce themselves. Do you want to start?
Marty Avalone, President of Working Media Group. We are a strategic media planning and buying agency working with mid-size advertisers. All of our advertisers have limited budgets, which make our job that much more tough. And we work across platform. So we are advising clients both on the traditional side and on the digital side, including mobile, of course.
Hi, I'm John Caron. I'm head of marketing for Catalina. For those of you who don't know, we're the world's largest personalized digital media network for CPGs. We reach 230 million people in the U.S. across our online, in-store, and mobile networks.
This is Mo Chara. I'm with Lenovo, part of the web marketing team. I sit in a global role where I oversee the web experience optimization across different geographies. Focus around 120 countries globally right now. And I feel like I need to introduce Lenovo. So Lenovo, we're right now officially #1 PC manufacturer in the world. We are also #3 in smart connected devices in the world. So we have smartphones, tablets, smart TVs, and of course PCs, usual laptops.
I'm Steven Kritzman, the Senior Vice President of Sales for Pandora. We're a personalized music company. And it's great to be here. We use a lot of the products, tablets, mobile, are on a lot of the devices that we'll talk about today from Lenovo.
Awesome.
My name is Jose Puente. I'm the Director of Mobile Products for Autotrader.com. For those of you that ever shop for a car, we are the nation's leading online marketplace, connecting thousands of car dealers and brand manufacturers with millions of car shoppers.
Hey Ted, quickly, I gotta jump. I won the book, by the way, guys. Just had to say this. And Chuck signed it for me, so that was good.
Great. All right. Excuse me. When we talk about, specifically the topic at hand is mobile and tablets. How does that layer into, into when you specifically target? Do you differentiate? Don't you differentiate? Why do you differentiate if you do? I don't know if you guys can start off, and it'd be interesting to start off with Pandora, see how Stephen, how you guys do it.
Sure. We really come at it from a couple of different lenses. From the kind of consumer usage lens, we try and create as much parity as we can, cross-platform. From the advertising side, however, obviously there's things that we can do on mobile, certain ad products that we can do on mobile that just don't play on the tablet, and vice versa, with the palette being a little bit different. At the same time, some of our ad products that we've created, we try and do cross-platform. So, audio, we'll have an audio everywhere product, a video everywhere product, where an advertiser can come in and say, look, I don't really care necessarily about where they are. I just want to reach them wherever they are in their usage. So we really have both, and on the various devices, an advertiser can come in and say, I have a tablet strategy. It's important. What are the right ad products, and can I target them? So we have the ability to do that as well.
Great. And someone from the media, Catalina, John, how do you guys approach that from a media side?
Yeah, we actually look at it the other way. We don't look at it as from the device. We look at it from the consumer, work backward, right? So the idea is that very simple. How do you create a consistent experience across all channels for the consumer and personalize that? And so we have two businesses. One would be the media side, and then the other side is the commerce business, which Catalina acquired a company called Motive Media a little over a year ago, and we're the second largest in-store mobile commerce company, only behind Starbucks. Our volume is only behind them in terms of in-store payment and commerce, and I'm talking about transacting by buying physical goods in a physical store using your phone, not mobile e-commerce, which is a little bit different. So for us, actually, we drive media to tablets on a personalized basis, but not for in terms of talking about mobile commerce. We're in the store, consumer facing. So tablets, I just can't picture somebody walking through a tablet and trying to scan stuff.
Unless they're one of the little
Yeah,
ones.
there you go. Yeah.
We look at audiences as well. We look at them in a little different format. We look at, time of day. Firstly, what is that audience that we're going after? And clearly, we got to keep that in mind. Here we are all, cutting edge from a technology standpoint in this room, but the lion's share of people that are out there and consumers out there are probably a little less advanced than we all might be. So we look at, where are they spending their time at given times of day, what media are they in, and we realize that all media still has a place, that it's not just about a single form of media, and that it's about creating that experience across those different media platforms that is going to drive that ultimate goal that you want for that advertiser.
Right, Jose, what about you guys on the Auto Trader side?
So, in line with pretty much everything that everybody knows, we're seeing the fastest growth of our audience, obviously coming in through tablets. We look at our audience holistically, but what we do look at is what are they doing in the different platforms. We have on our install platform products, we have our engagement metrics are like 2x what they are on our traditional core site. So we tend to measure it from that standpoint. In terms of the value that we drive for shoppers, it's a lot of the same thing. It's a unified experience, and we're really focusing more around personalization and trying to create more of a reason why people would want to have an account with something like Auto Trader to be able to come back and use our products no matter what the interface is.
So Ted, I second what Jose said. We are seeing more growth right now in tablet from commerce traffic to Lenovo.com than mobile. However, we're seeing more transactions in mobile and smartphones than tablet. So people, they come, smartphones, they purchase, they have a higher likelihood to purchase than the tablet. So that's kind of throwing us off a little bit. Our strategy right now is to just try media on mobile devices based on, so for the smartphones, we're looking at performance-based deals, and then for tablets, we're looking more for like an awareness, kind of top funnel initiatives.
So tactically speaking, what does that look like? I mean, what are you physically doing on the tablets or on the mobile that's different?
It's more of who we partner with. So depending on the network and agencies we're working with, they have a different type of media buying for us that changes from smartphone to tablet.
Stephen,
Our expectation changes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephen, you wanted to add something?
I mean, I'd say our analytics are really in line with these guys. I mean, the engagement that we've got on specifically on mobile is 10x what it is on the web. So when you think about thumbing songs on our platform, adding branded radio stations, it happens at 10 times that it does on the web, and a bit more than it does on tablets. Tablets probably 5-6 times what it is on the web. So I mean, engagement is high.
Right, now, this is a phrase that's been used a lot, or to some extent here today, but in the industry a lot, is this whole phrase of omni-channel and kind of how that all ties together.
Yuck.
Yep.
Yuck. I mean, honestly, omni-channel is almost as overused as context and personalization.
Right.
Anyone see an omni-channel? Everyone ever have an omni-channel experience? Unless you're psychic. Look, I think it's backward. I mean, so we deal with the biggest, retail, consumer retailers, CPG retailers and CPGs in the world. When you say multi-channel to a CPG, they're thinking drug, consumer, mass, club, right? When you say omni-channel to a retailer, they might start to be thinking about the way we've been talking about omni-channel. But when you say omni-channel to a consumer, their eyes cross, right? So they're not looking for omni-channel. I totally agree with I think the Warby Parker guys here saying, look, there will be no mobile commerce, tablet commerce, couch commerce, online, e-commerce, and it's just going to be commerce. So I think the idea of omni-channel is great. However, the two problems are, first, as an industry, we're abusing it, and everybody's calling it whatever they feel like calling it or defining it in the way they want. But the net is, I think it's backward. If you start from what the consumer wants, they just want to engage regardless of the channel.
Right, Jose?
Yeah, that's actually exactly the way that at least I think about it. I believe that 3 years from now, nobody's going to be using the word mobile or social. It's just the web. It's just the way that it works. And so we're approaching it from that perspective as well. When you asked the question earlier in terms of how we're viewing, the activity and the audiences, you start to see a really interesting story. I saw somebody's tweet talking about telling interesting stories. The way that we're looking at it is that all of this is causing digital experiences to be forced into creating relationship type, like human relationship type things with, experiences with people. Because you have a phone that buzzes in your pocket, it's not the way that you would traditionally consume, digital content. But the companies that really benefit the most or are going to succeed the most are going to think about it more from a relationship standpoint and saying, what kind of relationship do I want people to have with me? Even though they can't talk to me physically or verbally, they can talk to me in the way that they engage with my brand and my digital content. I just need to make sure that I can answer the question for them at any time that they're looking for that question, whether it's on a phone. What is the question? Somebody said it earlier. Knowing that the phone call is coming from a click to call, knowing those things and being able to prepare to deliver the right message and the right solution, the right response is really what makes the difference. If you don't, people are going to leave your brand and go and find somebody else that is answering their question, and then they're not going to come back and use your brand at all.
Yeah. I do think that understanding how your audience wants or your customer base wants to interact with you as a brand is a very important strategic or understanding for any advertiser that's out there or any company that's out there, any brand that's out there. I work with a number of clients that go after the boomer audience who may be less likely to buy something on their mobile device, and click to call may be the better strategy or tactic in a situation like that. They don't want to transact business on their cell phone. They don't trust it. They believe their data is going to be misused, and so they want to talk to someone, particularly when it's a high-priced purchase. So understanding that audience and how they desire to interact with your brand, I think, is very important.
Great. And I think it's also, from my experience at least, being able to meet the client where they're at and where they're ready to buy. I think this has been mentioned a couple times today as well. That's really where the holy grail is, and making sure you can do that across, not only devices but also in store. If you have a retail presence and things like that, I think it gets very interesting. Shifting gears a little bit, when we start talking about more of the tactics around this, the old discussion: responsive design or dual device. Where do we go with that? Stephen, you want to?
So we have a lot of debate around that internally. I think it really depends on what the business case is. It depends on what the business goals and the business objectives are. When you see the type of engagement that we have on our installed applications, it's really hard for us to just say, well, responsive design is the right solution. I mean, what we try to do is focus on how do we, kind of take the Coca-Cola approach. How do we be where people are thirsty, and how do we figure out how to efficiently leverage our platform to engage the largest amount of, because that's our job, is to attract as many in-market car shoppers as possible. So nothing's off the table, but what we do focus on is where are we driving the most value, and then focusing on investing on that.
See, for us, it's we're really trying to capture the voice of the customer right now and trying to get the customer to decide. So we went route of redesigning our main website, Lenovo.com. If you go to it right now, you're probably going to see the newest design, the latest experience. We're building different experiences for different sizes of the screen and devices. However, we want to make sure that it's really successful. I come from, our company is an engineering company, so they really believe in testing. And we run testing every week. So any changes we're making to our experience, we want to test it first, and we're going to make a decision at the end of the day in partnership with the customer. We want to make sure that they are happy with what we provide them at that point of contact.
Stephen, you want to?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it kind of goes back to, a lot of it ties back to our registration data and kind of knowing, when they sign in, who exactly we're talking to. And so then we're able to serve the right ad in the right place at the right time. And, I think we're fortunate in that regard, and it becomes more about kind of, them than it does about, what platform they're on.
Right. So when we talk about specifically targeting, banner ads typically don't work that well on mobile. We had a few previous panels say, these little fat fingers and whatnot. What have you guys seen? So John, what have you guys seen work apart from banners? What else do you guys use on mobile and tablet?
Yeah, so, one of the things, it was funny, you said the Holy Grail, right? I thought that was supposed to be a location. It's not. One of the things we did is we took, I don't know, and I apologize if I'm not trying to make it a Catalina commercial, but it gives you perspective, right? We see 80% of CPG purchasing in the U.S. So we see 50 million shopping trips a day, and capture all of that data. And then what we've done is we've partnered with the brands to be able to drive personalized digital media, both online and mobile display. So the question about efficacy and impact and measurement is actually being solved right now. So I think the key with mobile is the fact that with this small screen, the closer it gets to the consumer's face and the smaller it gets, the more important it is for the relevance to go up astronomically. Right, because I don't want to be annoyed by an ad. I don't want to be walking down the street and get pop-ups, right? If I just bought a car, I'm not sure I'm using AutoTrader, right? I'm not sure why Pandora keeps asking me, a single or married father of 6, if I want to meet single men. So I'm just playing with you. So
It's not happening.
no, exactly. No, it's not that. But the point is, right? It's the net of it is with mobile, you have the opportunity to drive a level of engagement and a different type of behavior than you've ever been able to do. However, you've got to think about the channel differently and understand what works and what doesn't. Can you drive trial of a product or a brand via mobile display? Hint is no, you can't. Not the way you think you can, right? So you've got to be able to break that out, and the key will come down to how do you close the loop and measure that, not based on impressions or clicks or whatever, but actually did you move the needle in revenue for that particular brand? And that exists today.
I think some of it is the targeting and how smart you can get the impression, right? And then for us, the other piece that really separates us is the audio ad, and that's just something that's native to our platform. That obviously, we see a tremendous amount of engagement in, and it drives both, station adoption on branded channels, clicks on ads, up 10x from what it was on the web, and that's simply because, the buds are plugged in, they're listening, and they're engaged, and you've got them in this really, really, captive format where, unlike on, traditional radio per se, they're button pushing all over the place. It's just not happening, and I think it's probably our biggest differentiator and distinct advantage.
So
We see the smartphone as more of a utility or a tool, where a lot of the apps that are being used are either to find something, whether it's weather, stocks, news, or entertainment, whether it's, Pandora is a great and heavily used app, or as is some of the social sites that you're seeing out there. But, and as a result of that, it's important that you're targeting people at, again, when they are engaged in a relevant format. But the thing that I think we lose sight of is one of the greatest ones out there is search. And we do a lot in the world of mobile search, because that's really what they're using that smartphone device for, is to find information most times, whether it's a price, product reviews, or other information during their shopping experience. And again, it's important that we're engaging with them during that setting.
I think also, anybody here use Google Now? Anyone? It's pretty cool conceptually, right? And it will see how it ramps. But basically, what it does is it looks at your world and knows that you need to catch a train in 2 hours or catch a plane in an hour and a half, and says you should leave now because traffic is really bad. So I think actually, if you want to look at what is one of the next, I think, great opportunities with mobile is intent. Right, you can look at past behavior, right? Lots of us can, right? But the ability to combine past behavior with other data and other inputs with intent is where this little thing will start to get really, really powerful.
All right, Stephen, you wanted to... So just before you jumped in, sorry. So specifically, Stephen, for you, from a logged-in perspective, so once the client's logged in, the registered users, how do you target, like, so... banner ads, for instance, I mean, that's really, audio ads disappear to a large extent, so...
Yeah, I mean, we have a number of ways we can target. When you log in, you put in your gender, your year you were born, and your zip code, so we know those 3 things about you, which is, a pretty good place to get. But then at the same time, we know what type of music you listen to. We know where you're listening. So, for example, we may talk to an artist may be going on tour, and they may look to us to help them decide what cities they should go to. We may say, okay, hey, these 40 cities are the most thumbed up cities for your music, for your band, for your genre, and it actually can help the artist decide where to go. We'll also do interactive targeting. If you thumb up a song, we may serve you an ad. Oh, you like, glad you like that song. You may also like this particular product. Just a little more interactive, where we know we've got them in a kind of a lean-in position, and they're actually looking at the screen.
Right. So when we talk about measurement and obviously the richness of data once someone is logged in is much, there's a whole lot more there. How do you guys use that? Do you use that at all when serving ads? More so I guess the product guys than the media guys.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's the kind of the core of it, right? Which is we have been using traditional demographic targeting, right, for far too long, and does not scale with mobile. Will not work with mobile. Right, it's why it's the rates are what they are. You're not seeing the response that you want. The return on ad spend from a personalized mobile ad campaign is through the roof. I wish I could say the number, but it is like shocking. And these are from real campaigns that are running right now. So I think the key with big data, as everybody likes to call it, is actually the data is pretty much irrelevant. It's what do you know, right? What insights do you have on the category, the brand, the trends, and how can you push that out and engage the consumer in a way? That's where you'll actually get scale and relevance.
Yeah, I mean, for us, historically, we have several different forms of advertising. We've got dealership advertising, which is reflected by their inventory listings. People pay us for that. Every picture you see of a car is paid for by a dealer. And then you've got the traditional display advertising that you've got, throughout our site. Obviously, as mobile comes into play, you've got a smaller screen. Those display ads don't really fit on the smaller screen, so it's really reimagining what the desire of that advertising is, and then introducing new models for what that is, and then really tying that, obviously, as a native component into the experience to make it richer for the user. We just started, this whole effort around personalization and getting people to create accounts with us. We're getting a lot of that engagement through mobile. We have higher goals with that in mobile, obviously, because we have a little bit more permission from users than we do on our traditional site. But I would say that that's an area that we're going to be focusing on. Obviously, there's a lot of great value that we can get out of knowing as much about our car shoppers as we can, particularly for manufacturers. You name it, anybody that wants to reach in-market car shoppers knowingly would be pretty interested in that.
Sure. Mo, what do you guys do on the lower side?
So for us right now, the challenge is that here in the U.S., we are more of a, so we depend on the retailers, like the Best Buys, the Walmarts, and out there. We don't have a lot of data about the consumer behavior here in the U.S. in places like, for example, India, China, Indonesia, and other Asian countries where we have our own retail stores, the technology and the data is not advanced enough for us to take what we learned from the US and expand it globally. So that's been always the challenge for us. We're trying to partner with Best Buy and other retailers that we have exclusive deals with so that we can share information and then be more intelligent about our advertising targeting in the mobile space. However, from an e-commerce perspective, it's really hard for us to see the value right now, especially in the PC industry, from mobile advertising. They interact, they come to the site, but we haven't seen any like really good sales compared to just the traditional experience.
Do you think that's a function of the products you're selling, or is it a combination of products versus online experience? Or
I think number one is the audience that we target. So we sell a lot of ThinkPad branded products here in the U.S., and that's more of a mature audience. They're looking. It's more of the Lexus of the PCs. So this is an audience it's not going to buy in mobile very quickly. They are really worried about the security and the privacy components. So that's, I think, the number one component is audience. Number two is industry, of course. The cycle of buying new products and getting, really attracted to new technology. So when we introduce in a new device, like for example, the latest Yoga we introduced, we had pretty much no sales on our website. Everyone needs to go to a retailer to experience the product themselves, play with it, understand what it is. And then the Yoga 11, which is the newer version of it, we are seeing more sales on the web because consumers are more aware of the product. They understand that they've experienced it physically. So it's a technology space and the target audience that we're going after.
Great. So, what are some of the best practices for targeted advertising? So, if we include the role of in-app advertising versus mobile websites. Excuse me, Stephen. Have you guys found something that works better than mobile ban, like the general targeted advertising, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a variety of products that work well on the phone. Depending on what the client's trying to accomplish. So we've got a tap to register product that works incredibly well. We've worked with brands like Living Social or Google Offers that have essentially built their brand with that product. Drives a high engagement. We've got a product like a tap to calendar. So if we run an entertainment ad and you want to remember that you want to see the premiere of that show coming up, kind of you're one click away from adding that to your calendar and remembering that you wanted to do that, or at least DVR it, I guess, in this day and age. There's obviously couponing and the like. So I think that's the opportunity that mobile creates, and is that kind of that one-click opportunity. We've got a variety suite of products that we have on the mobile phone that we don't have on the desktop.
I think we also have to, one of the things I believe is we have to separate out, when we're talking about mobile commerce, I think my definition of mobile commerce is probably different than everybody else up here on the panel. Again, my belief on mobile commerce that this is about engaging the consumer in the physical store buying physical goods. Otherwise, it's called mobile e-commerce because it's using the same platform. It's just using a different device. Yes, I can buy a $250,000 McLaren through eBay Mobile. That has been done, by the way. But it's just their e-commerce site. So I think what we need to do is look at, when we're talking about mobile and we're talking about engagement, I think how tablet is changing mobile e-commerce. Lots of other people can talk about that. How mobile is changing the actual consumer experience in the store is massive, and we're just at the tip of the iceberg, and it's going to happen really, really fast. And if you don't think so, look at Walmart. Walmart is doing scan and bag right now with mobile devices. Never thought that they would do that. We've been driving this as a company for a long, long time. Right? When I came through the Motive acquisition, so we've been driving this for a long time. The uptake has been slow. But if you think about when you go to Amazon, they take millions of products and boil them down to the ones that are most relevant to you, based on how you got there, how you navigate the site, implicit and explicit personalization. They look at your purchase behavior, and they boil it all down to the most relevant products. Why? because you buy more. That's why. And also, you couldn't navigate that store, you couldn't navigate Amazon without it. 98% of products in a grocery store are ignored by a consumer. You buy less than 2% in a year, and you will buy less than 0.5% in any given month. So the idea that how do you take 50,000 SKUs that are in a store and make them most relevant, to that individual consumer, the scale of that is massive. We've heard about the zero moment of truth. Well, there is no greater zero moment of truth than when you're standing in the cereal aisle and thinking, Fruit Loops or Kashi? Like, how do you influence that? How do you influence that decision? Or better yet, before you even get there, in those gaps between when I'm scanning items and as I'm going through the store. So from an in-store perspective, I think actually that's going to be where the fundamental shift comes from. The ability for me to buy, and we've all done this, right? I mean, I was sitting there, I just changed my train ticket. I just booked a hotel, right from my phone. Awesome. But the ability to actually walk in the store and be treated as an individual and have the consumer engage me the store engage me as an individual there, I think is just absolutely astronomical potential. And then the next few years, it's going to explode.
Yeah, especially when you've got things like Square where you can just pay right from your phone, where it just changes everything. It's changing the way that everybody's even doing everything. I think that the trick is also not only in being able to do that, but it's also not doing it in such a way where it doesn't confuse the person, right? Because it can become confusing, particularly for us with car shopping. 71% of people end up buying something totally different than what they spent 25 hours searching for. So for us, the additional issue there is when you talk about omnichannel, well, omnichannel is actually however the dealer treats you is part of how they relate back their experience to us. We don't have a control over that. But those are the challenges that we have to deal with around car shopping. We do have an opportunity based on all that to actually reimagine that whole process, because I don't know how many people here really like going to a car dealership. Anybody? And dealing with a car dealer.
I do. It's like
every time I do these
really
conferences,
there's nothing
there's
bad in
always
it.
only one person. They always ask and they say it's because I like to beat them up. But that's the problem, right? I mean, who wants to go spend all this time beating up somebody? The majority of people don't. They just want to go and buy a car. People love shopping for cars. They love sitting around. And we can create all these awesome experiences where you can sit and browse and really engage with really rich advertising and really enjoy your experience. But it all kind of sucks when you get to the dealerships, right? Because then you have to sit there and deal with somebody that is dealing with mostly with the financial aspects of it. And so that's where we have an opportunity, but managing all that where it's out of our control becomes kind of a problem for us.
Yeah. Well, I think it was Accenture, right? They did a study, this has to be 3 years ago now, where it was like, I think 72% of people would rather not engage with an associate in a store. There's no value, right? And I know my perspective is CPG based. So if it's irrelevant to you all, I apologize. It's our world. But when you think about it, what value does the cashier provide in your shopping trip? On a scale of 1 to 10, right? Like a -4, right? I mean, they really, really don't. Imagine if that whole front end were changed. If you took every single one of those people, put them back into the store, you added that 15% or so of space into available space for the retailer to put more product in. Right, I mean, that's where this changes, right? Mobile has the ability for, honestly, as much as of a sport as it is, I totally agree. When you get to the final end of it, it just sucks, right? But if that could all be automated, and I say, yeah, that's the car I want, here's what I'll pay, take it or leave it, and it just said yes, and I hit pay or whatever, right? Submit my, my credit app. Awesome to take that, that friction, right? And there's different types of friction. If you did the same thing in grocery, for example, where we all go about 2 times a week, the impact is absolutely massive. And one of the things I like to say is, I think mobile commerce has the potential to set grocery back 50 or 60 years, and that's a compliment, because 50 or 60 years ago, when you walked into the store, they knew who you were. They gave you a high level of service. It was engaging. It was a better experience, and we can get rid of the garbage that we waste time on right now, and actually have a much more engaging experience while we shop and listen to Pandora.
Amen.
In the new car you just bought.
In the new car, I'll tell you.
McLaren.
Sorry,
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
I gotta say, man, my new car has Pandora in it.
It's awesome.
8-hour drive from Boston to Baltimore. It was awesome. So thank you.
We love that. While searching on your Lenovo tablet.
There you go.
Don't do it while driving.
So I guess obviously what we're all trying to get back to is that seamless experience back into the store. But when we talk specifically about targeted advertising within tablet and mobile phones, how do you do that? Like how do you actually relate that back? Like how would you target from a media or marketing perspective to make sure that you get that experience back in the store? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, we do it 1 million times a month right now. So we're in 300 Ahold stores. We drive about $1 billion a year of their revenue. They've got 750 stores total, do about $26 billion a year. It drives 10% lift. Actually, the typical mobile shopper's basket size is about 40%. 41%, if you want to be exact, higher than the typical shopper. It gears towards the more loyals. The hard part of what we do and why other than Walmart, Stop & Shop's the only other one who's doing it right now, is that requires deep point of sale integration. Right. And so because of that, it means a big investment from the retailer. But when you have that point of sale integration, you're able to look at the SKU level data. Not just did you spend $100 on this particular day, but to actually know what you bought all the way down to individual basis, and then build against that to drive future trips, to drive the current trip, and most importantly, close the loop on what matters most, which is sales.
Right. Mo, have you guys seen some of the trends in your retail stores outside of the U.S.?
No, I mean we're still trying to learn what commerce or mobile strategy for commerce. I mean, right now we're going through kind of redefining what our engagement marketing strategy is going forward, and we've decided that it's definitely a post-purchase play for us, and it's going to be driven by mobile. And you would ask, how does it relate to commerce? Well, our customers require a lot of education to learn about our products and Lenovo and other services that we provide outside of just the PC, who are the most profitable services for us. So we hope to create an ecosystem of experiences driven by mobile devices that will allow the new customer, the new Lenovo customer, engage with us, stay in contact with us, and learn more about all of what Lenovo offers. And that's going to get them ready for their next buy. One thing that is also very important for us is to reduce that cycle. We see around almost 3 years between one product purchase and a new one. We want to reduce it to 12 months. We want to see consumers coming back to us and buying new products every year.
Some of the stuff that we'll do is try and provide some value back to the consumer for in exchange for taking some type of an action. So if we want to drive a consumer to Walgreens to purchase a case of Pepsi Cola, they may get a free month of Pandora One, our kind of ad-free service for doing that. And it's challenging from the perspective of it takes a lot of cooperation on the retail level, and that sophistication isn't quite there yet. With a few it is, but I think once that accelerates, you'll see all kinds of things happening within the retail stores. And we do them today, but it's a lot of work for any one particular campaign.
Right. Marty, you work with the smaller,
mid-size firms, and I just wanted to echo what John said. I mean, we talked earlier about the friction in the mobile commerce space from a payment standpoint. If you think about the friction at the store level, the interaction with your retailer and the like, and mobile does have huge, I agree with them, opportunity at the retail level. Obviously, it requires a lot of overhauling at the retail site. But again, I think retailers are slow to go there because they understand that, again, the adoption is not 100% across their consumer base. And so it is going to be a transition over time that I think is going to take place, and it is good to be out in front of it. On the advertising side, what we see is again that smartphone and that screen is very hard to get good, effective engagement, and whether it's mobile banners or interstitials run through Pandora, I mean, it is still a challenge to get people engaged when they want to be engaged in a mobile setting.
Great. All right, I'm going to open it up to questions from the audience. If anybody has any. Question over there.
Oh, for a change.
Hello, Seth Greenberg with Mobile at Ogilvy. The name of this session is Commerce Strategies for Smartphone and Tablet Behavior. There's a lot of studies out there that like tablet sales will soon beat out PC, and there's this idea of couch commerce where most people are on their tablets at like the prime time hours on their couch. So have you noticed that in general commerce activities are starting to merge between PC and tablet? And if so, how have you addressed this, or do you see a difference still between mainly tablet and PC?
Well, I think that's a question I can answer, I guess. we watch the PC and the tablet market very closely. A lot of people will forecast that tablets will take over, but I think we strongly believe that PCs will be the predominant device on the market yet. I think the consumer still needs PCs, needs that experience, being able to do more than what the tablets are providing them right now. I think the moment where tablets are able to provide all the services for document management and all the other stuff, and the software that's running on PCs that we can find in tablet, then we will probably be able to talk about a tablet-driven PC Plus experience in a household. But for now, PCs will be there, and I think it's going to be, at the end of the day, the place where commerce will happen in the near future, in the next 2 to 3 years, for sure.
Hi. Do you think hi, Heidi Miller. I'm with RGA in New York. Do you think that's because you're looking at more of a global market, though, where tablet penetration is much lower than it is in the U.S.?
We're looking at it both, and global market and also local market. I think globally, I agree with you. Globally, that's the trend, and that's where we're trying to drive our brands to be more of a global view, and we see that PCs will still play a role. Here in the U.S., I think there is still most of the consumers are using their work PCs for a lot of their personal use. So as soon as we go back where we adopt, or companies or enterprises will adopt the bring your own device to work, we'll see the PC sales come back again, where consumers will then go back to buying their own PCs, using them for work because their enterprise allows them to do that. And with the new convertibles line of products, where you have that experience of tablet, the ability to get that tablet touch screen, but at the same time have a PC at home that you can connect to or hook up to, or hook your screen to, I believe that we will still see that PC experience as a dominant experience overall at the end of the day.
All right, any more questions? Otherwise, I think we're going to wrap it up. All right, thank you very much, everybody.